Top of the morning, everyone. My name is Tshidi. I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about tell me about yourself. I think this is one of those questions that everybody always asks about, to say, how do I deal with tell me about yourself? It is difficult, but it's also one of the best icebreakers that helps you introduce yourself to the panel. It helps you give them an insight into who you are, what you're capable of, and what you can do. So what we're going to do today is to try and tackle this question and find the best ways of actually answering this question. Now, tell me about yourself is very difficult in the sense that a lot of people tend to not know what information they need to share, and they tend to jump straight into whatever the question it is. So I always ask the guys to say, before you jump into anything, before you tell people who you think you are, what they want to hear, the first thing that you need to always try and understand is, what would you like to know? In some countries, you'll find that personal life is just part and parcel of what people want to hear about. In some areas, people don't really care about that. So you need to be very careful to understand what your panel is looking for. And that's why I'm saying always ask first. The first question that you should always want to understand from the panel on the other side is to say, what would you like to know? So which part of my life or which part of my background would you like me to elaborate a bit on? In some cases, some of the people will say, just tell us maybe your background, how you've been raised and this and that. Or some of the people will then say to you, no, we just want to hear about your career. It then allows you as a candidate to decide what the direction of your conversation is going to be, because you've already now clarified what you actually want to know, which is, what do you want to know about me? Is it something that relates to my background and what crafted me to be the person that I am? Or is it just something that's got something to do with this particular job so I can tell you about my career? So when it comes to some of the people that says, I want to know about your background, I want to know what you're capable of, I want to know what you've done in the past couple of years, there are a few basic things that I want you to remember. Number one, be very, very careful what you share with your panel. That's one of the most important things that you need to remember. Be very careful what you disclose about your personal life, because what people tend to do is they tend to go all on about, this is how I've been raised, I've got this, I've got that. And you get into that very sad background where we now talk about, the fact that you spend 6 months sometimes living in the boot of your car, or you couldn't find food, or you couldn't do that. Be very, very careful that you don't disclose certain things that people end up feeling, shame. This one is just one of those that's just always going to be, or they always want us to feel sorry for them. So be careful that you don't drive your panel into that direction. Focus more a bit on the positiveness or the background, the hardships that you've dealt with. Try and make sure that you show just a bit. And I would say, tell me about yourself. Just only 5% of your background should be focused on that. The 95% should be both focused on your qualifications, should be focused on your experience, should be focused on every single thing that you've actually done that's built you to be the person that you are. The second thing that you need to remember is that avoid talking about mistakes in this question. Avoid talking about the mistakes that you made in the past, because what people tend to do is when they get into the tell me about yourself, you already start rambling about the mistakes. Now, the moment you start doing that, unfortunately, what then happens is you jump into this hole where you're dragging your background, and already as an icebreaker, you're already starting to tell me that you are gonna make too many mistakes, or you are this person that just makes mistakes. So just be careful that you don't jump into that. And also in this question, it's extremely important that you also try and highlight to the panel why you think you're a good fit for this position as well as for this company. Now, those are very, very important things that you need to focus a lot of your energy on. And the reason why I say you need to highlight why you think you're a good fit for this position as well as the organization is because it shows the panel that you've done enough research about the company. It shows the panel that you've got an understanding about the role. So those are some of the basic things that before you even get into a bit more details, you need to actually at least understand. The other thing that you guys need to remember is that the art of storytelling is actually what makes some of the people very successful in the jobs that they do, or it's what makes people sometimes follow in your story. What people tend to do is they tend to tell us these short little miniature stories. Like they tell you short, and you have to dig information out of the person. Tell me about yourself is an opportunity for you to be a storyteller. It's an opportunity for you to tell a story of this amazing individual that's done amazing things. So learn to actually tell the story about your background. Learn to be able to take the people through your journey, and make sure that you stay within the professional conversations. Do not also get too comfortable when you get to the tell me about yourself and you jump into the personal stuff and you try and make jokes that might not necessarily land. So remember, it is extremely important that you learn the art of storytelling. Always tell a story about your background. It helps take people through the journey. The other thing that you need to remember is that with tell me about yourself, it's the same as what a cover letter is. You need to make sure that you actually do a snapshot of your background or your history or your work history. You don't have to go into too much detail about it, just a snapshot. And remember, all this information that I'm asking you to do has to all be done in a space of 5 minutes, maximum. If you do more than 5 minutes, it'll overkill. So be careful that you don't ramble on for 45 minutes and then people don't have a chance to actually ask you other questions that they wanted to do. So the storytelling is very important, that you need to make sure that you take people through your journey. And then the snapshot of your work experience is also extremely important, because the snapshot is what then takes me into the other questions that are going to now be follow-up questions about what you have done. So it's just mini snapshots of each one of the companies that you've worked at. And also what is very, very important, guys, is do not just only give me a snapshot of the different companies. I've worked for company this, and then I did this in this company, and then I worked for that company, and then I did this. Make sure that your story is achievement driven, right? Listen to me now, messing up the English. You have to make sure that everything that you do is actually based on your achievements. Even if you were in company X, share with us what achievement you've made, because what it does then is it allows us to then understand that you've had certain achievements that you did while you were still in that company. So that is very, very important. And I think that's one of those key things that I want you to always remember. It's achievement driven, and make sure that you highlight those achievements and make sure that people understand that, and also when you talk about achievements, some of achievements that you can talk about is, like, for example, part of the process that I put in place at company X, saved time, saved energy, saved money, saved processes, something that used to last 8 weeks. Now we do it in 2 weeks. Make sure that you highlight some of those achievements, because then it's actually very important to highlight that. And then for graduates, some of the people will say, but I don't have any experience, and I'm a graduate. What achievements am I going to speak about that I've achieved? That is the beauty part, where you then bring in your work or your background in university and the achievement. You drive the conversations towards some of the things that you've achieved as a graduate. And that's very, very important that you need to remember that. So it's not just a shoot and hope for the best. Just make sure that you've actually highlighted to the people some of the amazing things that you're going to bring to that company, because that is very important. And then the other thing that you need to then do, still on the tell me about yourself, is remember I also mentioned that you need to tell people why you're a good fit for the company. Now, that information is extremely important, because what you're then allowing the people to understand is, what do you know about the role? Because it's no longer just about, okay, tell me about yourself, and you're just highlighting these things and throwing them around. You now also need to share with these guys to say, this is what I know about the role, and this is where I fit in, understanding of the role, understanding of the culture, understanding of the business. Those are extremely important for you guys to highlight, because if you don't highlight that in your icebreaker, what then happens is that later in the process, I'm going to ask you to say, what do you know about this role? And then you're going to now start from scratch. But if you've already given me a snapshot of what you understand about the role, it helps me direct the questions that will actually help you take back the information back home to say, okay, this is what I understand about this role, and I'm comfortable that what I've decided is actually what I'm looking for. So show your understanding and the needs that you need to highlight for this particular role, as well as for this particular company. That is very important. And then lastly, in this conversation, you might now take it up to 7 minutes now, is to now tell people why you're the right fit for this company. Why do you think you are the right fit for the company? what I always warn people about is never compare your achievements to anybody else. Why are you the right fit? It's about why you personally the right fit for the company, and you shouldn't be I will be better than X, because the moment you start doing that, you bring in the wrong type of competition, and there's a bit of negative energy that you're just driving in. So speak about what you've already done in your past that you're able to bring into this company that shows why you are the right fit for this company. Okay? And also showing people why you're the right fit also highlights that you just didn't see the job and just apply. It means that you're able to say, I've seen this job, it's the right job that I really need, and I've applied because I'm the right person to actually be able to take this role into the next level. And once you have done that, I promise you, you will now be able to now get these guys eating from the palm of your hands, because you've given them roughly an overview of who you are before they even start asking you. And I think one of the things that I want to quote is the question that we asked Faith the last time was, why are you dressed up for the day? Tell me about yourself is your way of introducing your brand. Okay? So it's not just a nice, let's shoot the breeze and talk about, no, you're introducing your brand to your panel, and you're making sure that the panel understands, okay, this is what Tebogo is able to do, and this is why we think this person is in the right role. From that conversation, it's easier for me to now say, okay, cool. Now we understand, you understand about the role. We know that you're the right fit for the role. We know the achievements that you've already made. So you've done that and you've summarized it in such a nice little short story to a point where when I now start getting to my questions about the other things to say, okay, tell me a bit more about this achievement. Remember, you've now decided to draw the map. So you've given me the map to say, this is the map I want you to follow going forward, right? It's no longer about my map. I could have come with my own ideas of what I'm going to ask, but because you've given me such a beautiful outline of what I think, what you want me to ask you, after that, I'm now following your journey. You're now the one that's driving this conversation, because now my follow-up questions are based on what you've said, not based on what I want to know. So it's no longer about what I want to say or what I want you to tell me. It's now about, cool, you now have given me an idea of who you are. Now the questions that we're now trying to ask is to get a bit more information about the roles that you've played, how you've driven those roles, how you've achieved some of these things. What did you do in that? So it's now follow-up questions based on what you've already highlighted. That is how you answer, tell me about yourself. Remember, number one, it's your brand that you're introducing. 2, it's an icebreaker. 3, as much as I'd like to know about your personal life and I say to you, tell me everything about your life, I am still very much driving the conversation based on your professional background, not on your personal life. Personal life can go into a very dark hole, so be very careful that you don't do that. I hope you guys have been listening. I hope you loved this. Thank you so much. Top of the morning once again, and please share with your friends. Do not forget to subscribe and make sure that you click the bell icon so that you don't miss anything that we post. Looking forward to hearing some of your comments. Please hit the thumbs up, and yeah, man, let's see how you guys deal with this one. Once again, thank you. Have an awesome day and good night.